player needs help understanding if they're a problem player. Hi everyone, All Things D&D is back with another story. We need your help determining whether or not the player is the issue, or this group has some serious trust issues. Tell us if you think the player was in the wrong, and maybe downplayed his role in getting kicked out, or if the party is just a bunch of jerks. So recently, I was just removed from a game after 2 sessions. I, like many, would agree that yeah, it was all my fault, but I just can't stop thinking about the circumstances and the reason for why I was removed. I don't have any real-life friends who play D&D, and I don't want to bother another group I play with by asking what they think about the situation. Really, I just want validation and a more detailed reason as to if I was truly at fault for everything, or if I was just with the wrong group of people. Of course, this is from my side of the story, and I'll try to tell it as unbiased as possible, but both sides of the story are always important. So to preface, I was part of a Dragon of Icespire Peak game that collapsed after 2 sessions due to scheduling issues from everyone. The DM had a homebrew game he was running on Sundays, and he offered me a spot in this campaign. He said that they'd been missing a player for quite some time, and that he would like to have 5 players again. I agreed, and with his help came up with a character and backstory. I made a half-elf trickery domain cleric, since for quite some time I've been wanting to play something a bit different to my usual lawful good characters. And I can never seem to play a cleric past 2 sessions, as every campaign I've been in where I made a cleric fizzled out extremely quickly. My cleric was a spy who worshipped Ion. They were a part of this group that would collect information and spy on nobles for contracts. Knowledge was everything to my cleric, so they kept their cards close and rarely showed their true emotions. So, they came across as confident and witty. Now, this campaign had been going on for about a year before I came in, and I wasn't really given any world lore by the DM, so I was a bit worried about my character fitting in. I'm not one for making edgy or super out there characters, especially since I was already going a bit out of my normal with a character who actually is selfish, and not a martyr type character. So the DM said that the party was currently in a prison type area in the Underdark. No big deal. I came up with a reason for why my character was there, and I was all slated for the first session. The cast, DM, me as a cleric, tiefling draconic sorcerer, a mute Kalashtar fighter barbarian, dragonborn barbarian bard, and a half-orc lore bard. The party left off at the start of a beholder fight. It takes some time, but they kill it. They gather some loot, do some stuff, and decide to free the prisoners. Enter my character. The party eventually comes across my character chained up. They free me and I offer my services, since I built an all-utility dedicated healer. Things turned hostile when I brought up why the fighter wasn't talking. I was going for a more Irish or British style of dialect. I'm not great at accents, so really all I could try to do was at least attempt the manner of speech. I said something along the lines of, "This one is being awfully quiet. Are they all right?" They immediately jumped on me, since they thought I wasn't treating the fighter like a person. The sorcerer took the most offense to it, as the sorcerer's and fighter's characters were dating. Alright, I just dropped the subject and made a note to never use the term "this one." I didn't mean anything by it, but I guess I just used it wrong. Or maybe my tone sounded derogatory. Oh well, I didn't want to cause any more conflict, so I changed the subject. We then discussed why each of us were in the prison to begin with, and after helping them free the other prisoners, it was time to leave. On our way out, we encountered a mind flayer who kept following us. We tried to shoot it, attack it with a spell, and hit it with a sword, and all attacks were stopped by some sort of invisible force field around the mind flayer. No issue, I cast Dispel Magic and we defeat it. I heal up the barbarian, and I assume everything is cool within the group. Everyone is treating me normally except the sorcerer, so I attempt to make amends. I said, "We seem to get off on the wrong foot. I would hate to be at odds with allies. Let's start over." This was promptly met with an FU. Alright, maybe this is just their character. I don't know. This is my first session with these people. I'll give it some time. So we finally get into the city and they get their reward. They got like 10,000 gold and 2,000 gold worth of diamonds. I said, "Hey, I made sure no one died to that mind flayer and made it so we could hit them. Those diamonds could be useful in case any of you die." They said I didn't deserve anything since I didn't help fight the beholder. Alright, fine, whatever. I wasn't there for the fight, so sure, makes sense. They then proceed to give all the diamonds to a DMPC. Cool, they helped y'all out, but y'all could have kept some in case you died. The party decided to visit the fighter's sister. The DM mentioned some very nice and lifelike statues in this building. My character from a major city decides to talk about a sculptor, and that this work looks similar. I wasn't really having fun, and I was hoping to start up a pleasant conversation with the group. They ignored it and talked to the NPC. NPC offers drinks and brings out a fancy bottle of wine. I decided to try again with a conversation and discuss the famous vintner from this one part of the continent. No one bites. All right, maybe that kind of conversation isn't really their speed. The session ended not long after that, and that night the DM approached me and said to bring up any important world-building lore to him before making a statement on it. I was a bit confused and asked what he was referring to. DM was not a fan of me making up this random sculptor and a wine brand. Okay, noted. That sucks since my character is a bullshitter and is supposed to know a lot. Limits me a bit, but I'm sure I can work with it. Next session starts up and the party decides to head to a nearby city because the sorcerer wants to celebrate the fighter's birthday. Okay, cool. It's dope that the characters are this close. I'm into heavy role-playing, so I'm into it. On the way, we come across an anthropomorphic rabbit. I make an Arcana check, and the DM tells us that it's an awakened rabbit. Cool. I love druids, and awaken is one of my favorite spells, but a little odd since they shouldn't walk and gesture like humans. But no big deal, probably just DM flavor. So it asks us a bunch of questions, and this is perfect. I was literally made for this. So with the help of the bard and sorcerer, we explain a bunch of things to it. I answered its questions about human customs and such, and every time I said it's a thing humans do, or human tradition, the sorcerer was quick to let me know that none of us were humans. Anyway, we bring Rabbit into a small village, and we enter a tavern for the night. I decide to order rooms for the group, so I said to the barkeep, "You dear, how much might 4 rooms run us?" DM says, "I have a name, and for you, 20 gold. Alright, sure, I could have worded that better, so I then asked their name. DM introduces the NPC, and still isn't budging. I just gave up and sat down. The sorcerer gets us rooms and we sleep for the night. The party is stuck in town, since a drunkard went missing, so we're the suspects since we're new. Cool murder mysteries are fun. After a lot of investigating, our only lead is that the footprints lead from and into this big tree in the center of the village. We don't really get any other leads, so I offer to use some of my spells to try and figure this out. Party doesn't really agree, but we don't really have a choice. So I cast Commune and get a few solid answers from Ion and a successful divine intervention. Still doesn't really help us out, so we do a stakeout. We encounter the creature and it's invisible. DM tells us to roll initiative. I say, at least I have locate creature up so I can help point out where it is. DM says, yeah, that doesn't really matter since you're rolling for initiative. Alright, I was just reassuring myself, but okay. So we get to fighting it, and Bard casts Hold Person. It succeeds, so the beast is now paralyzed. I commend the Bard for the awesome play, since that really helps us out. I then mention that because of the amazing spell, I can knock quite a bit of health off of it. The DM then tells me to stop bragging about how strong my character is, and stop gloating about what I'm gonna do since it isn't my turn. We kill it, and it turns out it was the rabbit. Everyone is upset, understandably since it was pretty adorable, but it had some pretty scary quirks. So the party decides to just get drunk. I see this as the perfect opportunity to try and make amends again, since I helped defeat this creature, and I really don't like being the one everyone hates. So I strike up conversation with the Bard and Barbarian. Everything seems cool with them. Now I decide to approach the Sorcerer and Fighter. I heard the Sorcerer mention some weird behavior from Fighter, and this weird extra blip from their head when Sorcerer would cast Detect Thoughts. So me being the Cleric, I assume I can offer to help out with this thing. Maybe Greater Restoration or something can help the Fighter. The Sorcerer once again tells me to F off, and that they don't want my help. Fighter then looks at them and does something that shocked me. They mentioned something about offering to teach my character sign language. I was all over that, since it would be more effective than them writing every time our characters would communicate, and it would hopefully help our characters bond. Fighter made a gesture and punched my character in the face, many times. The group decided to break up the fight, and they basically told my character that they were never welcome with them. And I got the message from the DM yesterday, saying that I was officially kicked from the group. DM's message was this: so the party's been talking for the last week or two. It's been a pretty heavy part of conversation, but we think that you and the party don't mesh, and I think it'd be best for you to leave. You're consistently offensive and ignoring what other players are doing and what they want. You're always challenging my rulings and interrupting me to make sure I know how powerful your character is, and doing the same things to the other players, and it's just not the kind of environment I want for my players, or they want for themselves. I'm not really upset, I just want to hear from an outside party if I was in the wrong, so I can make changes. I truly love D&D and I try to be a kind person. It really kills me if someone thinks of me in a negative light. Pretty tough. I get the feeling that maybe some of his communication came off a little bit worse than what he said. But I also feel like the Fighter and Sorcerer wouldn't have liked any new addition to the party. I wonder why the original 5th member left in the first place. Please let us know what you think and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, All Things D&D. Our videos are posted every Tuesday and Friday, so stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.